Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin?
After you, Junior.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Logged It, episode number 29. We're talking about adventure movies today. If at some point I turn my camera off and run away, completely ignore it. I'm taking a dog out to pee. This is going to be a fun episode. We got a big panel, lots to talk about, lots to get through. Let's get started. Kaleb Boatman is here with me, as always. Boatman, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm good. I had a rough day a little bit, but I'm happy to talk about movies. So,
yeah. Kaleb Koho's here. He hasn't been here in a while. Kaleb, welcome.
I'm very excited. I love the show. I'm excited to be back. It's been a minute.
Yeah. Jack, you made it.
Yes, I did.
How are you?
Tired as all hell, but I am here and I'm happy about it. So
that's what we like to hear. All right. Albert, first time on the show. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I've always wanted to be on, but either the scheduling or the category I'm not familiar with. So I say no, but finally here. So I'm glad.
Yeah. And Brian Michaels is here, Mr. Adventure himself. Brian, how are you?
I'm fine. It's already my second time this season, second time this month, so I don't even need to watch another movie again. So.
That's fair. That's accurate. Yeah, this is Logged It. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about some movies tonight. That's pretty much all you need to know. If you have Letterboxd, it's even better. But otherwise, you don't really need it to talk about movies. But hey, that's kind of the point. So what we're going to do is we're going to get started with the way we always get started. It's our favorite movie that we logged this week. Koho, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. My favorite movie I watched this week is a recent release. I got to see Cyrano a little early. I really liked it. I was already very excited, but it's a movie that the performances really work for me. I think Peter Dinklage is really great. I was not taken aback by the musical elements of the movie. I think those are pretty, subpar and fine. But I think on the whole, the story is so strong and the performances are so strong, especially from Dinklage and Haley Bennett. And I love Calvin Harrison Jr. since I saw him in Waves. So anytime he shows up, I'm very excited. And even Ben Mendelsohn, I think everyone who shows up in this just turns into a really good performance. And it's my first experience with the story of Cyrano de Bergerac, so that probably will put it a little bit higher. I specifically saved Cyrano for this version, and I really loved it. So I'm very excited to go back and watch old versions now.
Yeah, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago because Brian brought it up. I still haven't seen it because I watch films in the theater legally. I don't know how the rest of you people watch them, but I'm a Christian man. I know Brian saw it in the theater. I trust Brian. He's an A-lister. He's an A-lister. But I'm really looking forward to it. I've heard really good things. You're now the second person that's told me that it's very good. And while I normally don't trust Kaleb Koho on most things, wouldn't trust him to save my life, wouldn't trust him on the sandwich recommendation, but I would trust him on this. So good shit. Boatman, did you get a chance to see this since we last talked about it?
no, I'm waiting for theater because I've waited this long.
fair enough.
All right, Jack.
I haven't seen it, but it's got Peter Dinklage in it, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to see it at some point in my life. So, yeah.
All right, Albert.
I have not seen it too. Don't know anything about it, but I plan to see it soon.
Brian, anything you want to add since the last time you talked about it?
No, I mean, you already heard my thoughts last time I was on. I heard it. I liked it a lot. As soon as it opens in theaters in, a week and a half, I'm going to go see it again.
Same.
All right, I'm being viciously attacked. So, Boatman, why don't you talk about your favorite movie and then lead into the next one while I take a dog outside?
Yeah, my favorite movie that I watched this week, I haven't gotten to a lot of new watches this week, but of the new watches that I did have this week, my favorite is Red Rocket. Red Rocket was I'll admit I had issues with Red Rocket, but overall I thought it was great, and the quality of the movie really rests on Simon Rex. Simon Rex, who plays the main character, is phenomenal. he's got this, like, he's absolutely a scumbag, but he also has this, like, charismatic energy that you kind of get why people buy into a lot of his BS, and it's great. And I love those types of characters, or love to hate those types of characters, however you want to say it. It's definitely uncomfortable, but that's kind of the point. It's definitely one of those nightmare comedies where you're laughing, but you're also a little bit like horrified about the situation. And it's great. I really liked it. I had some pacing issues, but overall, really good. Has anyone else seen Red Rocket? Brian, have you seen Red Rocket yet?
I have not seen it yet. It is on my watch list. I'm very curious about it because when I first saw it coming out, it's like Simon Rex, who, you know, went from MTV VJ to starring in scary movie sequels to like adult film. So I kind of thought we'd seen the last of him, and he popped up in this, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But then I've heard nothing but good things about this movie, so I definitely want to see it.
I feel like you'll actually like it. I don't know, but I feel like you might. Albert, you seen this one yet?
No, this is Sean Baker's film, right?
Yeah.
I like Florida Project a lot, so I plan to watch it, but no, I haven't seen this.
That's fair. Jack?
No, but it is at my local indie theater, so I'll see it later this month.
Fair.
So yeah, excited.
Koho, I know you've seen this.
Yeah, I like this movie. I think Simon Rex is great. I did not know who he was going into this movie, to be totally honest with you. I didn't know anything about him. So just to hear the real life journey he's been on from Brian in very brief detail, I'm like, oh, then I kind of want to know more about who this guy is. If that's like, this is like very meta casting then. But he's fantastic. I think that I think her name's Susanna Sun, who plays Strawberry, is also phenomenal. I think like she's really good. She has a very difficult part to play. I think she does it really well. I think Sean Baker does a really good job of walking the line on this that other Oscar-y filmmakers this year weren't able to do as well. But I think that he did it very well, and I'm actually really bummed this didn't get any attention at the Oscars because it deserves it. It's a great movie.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we'll keep going this way, and we'll go over to Brian. Brian, what is your favorite movie you watched this week?
Having like you haven't got a whole lot of first time watches this week. So my favorite rewatch of the week, actually just recently rewatched the Jack Reacher movie. With the Amazon Prime series that just started up, which is very good, by the way. It's kind of been a renewed interest in this, and you know, a lot of comparison to Tom Cruise's movie. I know the character in the books is supposed to be like this big, bulky, you know, blonde guy, and so people freaked out when Tom Cruise was cast in the role. And but I actually thought, I mean, as someone who never read the books, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it worked really well for him. It's kind of fun watching it now that I've seen the series. I could totally see, you know, a whole different actor in that role, but still, I like Tom Cruise in it. It just really reminded me how good Christopher McQuarrie is at everything, writing, directing. I mean, he obviously, you know, with the Mission Impossible series, you got the action stuff down, but he knows how to make those dramatic tension. His dialogue is fun because he started out as a writer of things like Usual Suspects and that. And it's just a really good movie that I actually enjoyed, I think, more this time around.
Yeah, I've never seen this, but my dad loves this movie and also just watched the show, and he liked the show as well, but noted that this guy was physically very different than Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Albert, you ever see Jack Reacher?
Not the first one. I saw Jack Reacher Never Go Back, the sequel, 2 years ago, I think. But I've never seen the first one. I like this. I sort of like the sequel though. It's not my.
The sequel's okay, but the first one's definitely way better. Yeah.
Jack?
I know I've seen bits and parts over the years, but I've never seen the full film. And I didn't know Christopher McQuarrie was involved in it like at all. So that actually sparks a little bit of interest in me to actually go and see it. So.
Tim, you seen this one? This feels like a Tim movie.
This movie's awesome. I saw this in the theater when it came out, and I remember being so surprised by it because the trailer is just like Tom Cruise in a car, like driving, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And this was before like I really like realized how much I like Tom Cruise. Like I thought it just kind of looked bad, honestly. But I remember going to see it. I was the only person in the theater, and I had a ball. And it holds up. I watched it in 2020. Because Maggie had never seen it. But I remember when Rogue Nation was coming out, and I was like, oh shit, it's the same dude who did Jack Reacher. Never Go Back sucks, though. So
that's fair. Koho?
I've only ever caught bits and pieces of this movie whenever it's on when my parents watch it because they love it. But fun fact about the guy who plays him now in the show, Al Richardson is from Grand Forks, North Dakota, born on November 28th, 1989, in the same hospital as me. So we were born same day, same town, 10 years apart, which is really fucking.
I didn't know about the birthday, but I was reading up on him and I saw that Grand Forks. I'm like, Kaleb.
Yeah, he's literally same hospital, 10 years apart.
That's awesome. All right. So did we just do Red Rocket and Jack Reacher?
Yep.
Cool. So Albert, what's your favorite movie log this week?
Yeah, so I also didn't do a lot of new watches, but I did a lot of rewatches, and one that I rewatched and I liked much more than I initially watched was Begin Again, the John Carney film. I liked it the first time. This time around, I just love it even more. The music's really good. It's always, I feel like when in musical, when you like the music on the rewatch, it does even become even better because you can sing along and everything. And it's just such a feel good film. There's also some darkness in it, and I like. When the first time I watched it, I've never been to New York. The second time I watched it, I've been to New York, and somehow all the setting have much more meaning in the film because of that. It's like, oh, I've been there and everything, and it's a very nice film. Keira Knightley is great. I like Mark Ruffalo in it as well. They make James Corden somewhat likable, so that's a plus. And yeah, it's just overall great film, great songs. Lost Stars should have won an Oscar that year, but yeah, here's my thought.
Yeah, I agree with that. This movie is awesome. I'm a big fan of this one. Maggie and I saw this in the theater completely on a whim, and I loved it. I love Ruffalo in this so much. I think he's so good. And Haley Steinfeld, this was the first time I really remember seeing her, because I didn't see True Grit until much later. So this was the first time I really saw her and was like, oh shit, she's great. Who plays his wife in this? Is it
Catherine Keener. Yeah.
It is Catherine Keener. Okay, I remember liking her a lot as well. I'm not. We're going to talk about it later. I don't love Keira Knightley. I think she's kind of a bad actress, but I think she's really good in this, and I really like her in this movie. And I like her in the other one too, just fine. But I think she's good in this, and the music is great. Adam, what's his fuck from that band that my wife is obsessed with. He's pretty good in the movie. There's a part where he wears a beanie and has a douche face, and that shit annoys me. But the Lost Stars song is fire. What one song this year?
Glory from Selma, which I can't take away.
Glory is a really good song.
It's a good song. I like Lost. I'm a big fan of Lost Stars. Was Lost Stars nominated?
Yes, it was.
Yes.
Okay. I'm cool with that. Koho, Begin Again.
I really like Begin Again. I'm a John Carney shill. I think this is his second best movie. I actually like this more than once. I think Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley have great chemistry and are fantastic together. I think Adam Levine is actually kind of inspired casting as this douchey ex-boyfriend character. I think he does it really well. I'll say what Matthew said in the chat. I can't believe Albert didn't bring up Haley Steinfeld. Knowing Albert, but she's great. I think the music's fantastic across the board. I think my favorite part is when they're walking through New York City sharing earbuds, listening to music. I think that might be my favorite part of that entire movie. I love Lost Stars, but I think Coming Up Roses might be my favorite song. I like that one a lot too. I think that whole soundtrack is great. It's a little it's proto Sing Street a little bit in terms of the musical styles they're going for. And in attempts of writing the music, it's a step up from once, but not quite to Sing Street. But I think all of it is really, really solid, especially Lost Stars.
Boatman.
I haven't seen this one yet, but I know that the music was written by Greg Alexander and Diane. I can't remember her last name, but they were probably best known for in the 90s being both members of the band New Radicals, which did the song You Get What You Give, which, for those who don't know, You Get What You Give is my favorite song of all time. So that makes me want to watch this movie, if only for the music.
Music's great.
Jack?
Yeah, no, I haven't seen this movie. I'm pretty sure it was on Mark's top 10 of 2014 on YLS way back when we did that episode. But I still haven't seen it. But I do really want to see it because I also think Keira Knightley is pretty great in most things I've seen her in. So yeah, want to see it sometime soon.
Brian, this feels like a movie you would like.
You know, I don't really remember it. I saw it one time when it first came out in theaters, and according to this, I want to give it 3 stars. But looking at it and looking at the cast and stuff, especially, I definitely need to give this a rewatch because it seems like something I would like more than that. So
that's fair. Okay, Jack, why don't we go to you next?
All right. This week I didn't watch as many movies as I would have liked, but it's just been busy for me. But I did see one movie 3 times this week over the course of like 2 days, and it's Your Name. Yeah, no, this movie's phenomenal. I did rewatch Portrait of a Lady on Fire with my sister because she really wanted to see it, and she loved it. But I'm gonna go with this one because it's first time watch, and this movie broke me. Just in all the best ways possible. It's a beautifully animated film. The score is could become like one of my favorites pretty quick, and I love the love story of Mitsuha and Taki. I think that it's just a gorgeous movie, and everyone should see it at least once. Honestly, yeah, no, it's climbing my animated movie rankings very quickly, and they as soon as I got home from work at like midnight, I went downstairs, woke up my other sister, showed her this movie, and now it's probably her favorite or second favorite animated movie ever made. So yeah, great movie.
I still haven't seen this one, but I've heard nothing but incredible things. So it is on my watch list. It is something I will watch. I do take issue with one thing. I'm going through the reviews right now as I do on the show to like the reviews and everything. Jack knows where I'm going with this. He wrote a review. It reads as follows. Second I got home from work, I ran downstairs, woke up my sister, and showed her this beautiful film. It's now her favorite animated film, and even closer to surpassing Monsters, Inc. than it was this afternoon. So, Jack, thank you for being on the show. We'll see you again real soon. But no, I'm just kidding. I do want to see it. I've heard very, very good things. Boatman, have you seen this? You are muted, my friend. Pulling a new.
Not bad. I love Your Name. I've only seen it the once, and there's a reason I haven't rewatched it yet because it's kind of an experience a little bit, like not in like overwhelmingly emotional. It's a really nice movie that I kind of want to keep special. It's funny. It's got a lot of ideas and cool, interesting themes going on. I honestly recommend like going into it a little bit as blind as you can. The music, fantastic. Radwimps is the band that did the songs. They did both the English language version and the Japanese version, and both versions are great. But I love the English version of Dream Lantern. It is such a good song, and Zen Zen is such a good song.
Albert.
Yeah, I love this film. I've seen it a couple of times. I think it's like my top 5 favorite film of all time. I don't know how Jack was able to watch it 3 times in one day, because every time I watch it, I'm just in such an emotional state. So that's wild that you did it 3 times one day. And yeah, like echo everything everyone have said. The music is incredible. The animation is beautiful. I love the characters, and even the side characters. They're all really good. And I think it improves upon each rewatch, just because the first time you're sort of guessing along to the story, and then the second time you know what to expect, and maybe it could just hit you even harder that time around. So yeah.
Albert, something that I think is important for you to know, I have watched, there was a week of my life where I watched Requiem for a Dream twice. So this isn't that bad for rewatching multiple times in a short period of time for me.
You got problems, kid. Brian, your take.
Yeah, go to therapy for that.
Son, you got
I mean, people know that I'm not big on anime films. So I wasn't planning to enjoy this much, but I actually ended up really enjoying this quite a bit. Which, for me in anime, that's kind of saying a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's still not my animation style, but the story is really good. I watched, I think I watched the dub. No, watch the subtitle version because I've only seen it the one time. I actually want to watch it again. But I enjoyed the story. I think it was really good. I'm curious to see what they do with the live action remake they're doing, the American live action, because I think it's a good story that could be adapted to to make it a regular live action movie about it. But at the same time, it's like, is there any room for improvement, or is it just catering to people who don't want to watch foreign films? I don't know.
I have feelings about that.
Yeah.
Koho,
I know it's going to be Mark Webb at one point directing, but I think he's out now. I'm not sure who's in.
I have not seen Your Name. It's a big miss for me.
Perfect. Okay. I will go last then. So for me, I talked about it last. By far the best movie, my favorite movie that I logged this week was Ridley Scott's The Last Duel. I rewatched that, but I talked about it at length on YLS a couple weeks ago. So if you want my in-depth take on that movie, it was my number one of 2021. Go check that episode of YLS out. But otherwise, I didn't watch a ton of like overly like fantastic stuff. But I watched a movie today actually that I didn't love it, but I was honestly very surprised by it, and that was Steven Soderbergh's new movie, Kimmy. I was not expecting anything from this because I'm not the biggest Soderbergh fan. Ask Cody and Michael and Jake; they roast me a little bit about it. But I'm not the biggest Soderbergh fan. But I've seen most of his recent stuff, and so I saw some people logging this, and I was like, well, it's on HBO Max. It's under 90 minutes. Like I might as well like check it out. And I was really surprised. I thought Zoe Kravitz was really, really good in the movie, and it's a movie that takes place during COVID, and so I kind of thought. And they like make a point to talk about that in the movie. So I was kind of half expecting to like, I don't really want to like be thinking about this when I like go into a movie, but they do it in a way that actually works really, really well. And I don't want to give too much about the plot away because I didn't know anything going into it. And I thought it was really, really great. It gets a little goofy in the last like 20 minutes. But I was there for it by that point. So I thought it was a good time. Has anybody seen this yet?
I have not.
No.
Not yet.
Yeah, no, I've seen lots of people log on Letterboxd, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's move over to Koho's least favorite movie that he logged this week.
My actual least favorite of the week, I can't talk about because if someone that I watched it with ends up watching this, they'll kill me. So not going to talk about Orpheus. Instead, I'm going to talk about Teen Titans Go to the Movies. Because Teen Titans Go to the Movies is not great. I will say I liked it better on rewatch than I did the first time because I think the stuff that works is the more like adult jokes, the more like in references and bits like Boatman was telling me about it when he watched it recently was the hi Clark, save me, it's Lois, you need to save me from Gene Hackman's real estate scheme. Like I think that joke's really funny. I'll give him that. I think there's a lot of funny in jokes and visual gags, but they all get ruined by when they remember that this is a movie adaptation of just a children's show. So they literally take 10 seconds to make a joke about how Balloon Man is farting with air coming out of his butt. Like stuff like that just like kills the movie full stop for me that I just think is like really dumb. It has moments where I'm like, oh yeah, this is like Lego Batman level humor, but they never get to a moment where it's like we abandon anything over the top, ridiculous, childish in favor of something that like I think even just the general like this is what the movie's about isn't as strong as what like Lego Batman movies central like themes and messages are. Like I just think Teen Titans Go to the Movie doesn't have what makes Lego Batman special aside from like 5 or 6 really funny, clever bits. And some really dark stuff. But on the whole, I think Teen Titans Go to the Movie is not great. It's fine. But I'll give both this. I liked it a little bit more in rewatch.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this movie should have bbeen nominated for Best Picture or it is a master class in cinema or anything. But I'm not gonna also sit here and say that this movie is not really fun, because I'm a big fan. Funnily enough, I gave it the same score Koho did. I think we both gave it a 3. But I guess to me that honestly, this could push a 4-star rating for me. I think it's really funny. I remember when it came out, I saw it at like 8:30. Like, it was I remember it being oddly weird for like a kids movie, like playing later at night. Like, it was just weird. And I was the only one in the theater, me and Maggie, and we were just laughing. I think the upbeat inspirational song about life is so fucking stupid and hilarious. I love the Lion King joke with
the old series was better.
Superheroes, like that whole thing, like I think is fucking hilarious. I love all when they're going through like the Warner Brothers lot and you see all the posters for all the like movies that Warner Brothers is making in the DC world that are all like so fucking stupid. And it has a lot of, which is something I think Koho probably would like or did like, I don't know, he could say. I like all the jabs at like the really obscure shit that they do in this.
The Challengers of the Unknown shit is hysterical.
So funny. So again, I don't think that this movie is like God's gift to DC or anything, but I think it's really funny. And there's a straight to DVD sequel called Teen Titans Go versus the Teen Titans, where they deliver on the post-credit scene, and it's actually also pretty good. So I'm a big fan. I like it a lot. Boatman, what about you?
This movie is just super fun, right? I'll give Koho. There are some stupid jokes. There are times where you remember, yes, this is an adaptation of a children's show. But for an adaptation of a children's show, there's also like so many super duper clever jokes that I think completely balance out the ones that don't work, because like there are just so many jokes in this movie. There's a lot of stuff going on that if you don't like one joke, 10 seconds later you're gonna get another joke you do like.
Yeah.
I think this movie's super fun. I really like Will Arnett as Slade. I think he's having a lot of fun in this role. Slade. This is great. But yeah, the best jokes in this movie are like the very silly, kind of Lego Batman-esque jokes, which no, this movie isn't as good as the Lego Batman, but I don't think it has to be.
My favorite line in this whole movie is "crack an egg on it."
Crack an egg on it.
It's so dumb. Jack, what do you think about this one?
I think his dad's a cop.
Jack.
I haven't seen it in a really long time. I have to rewatch it, but I will tell you this. The best joke of the movie that I can remember is when they go back to change the Justice League's origin stories. And when they when they go back to undo what they did, and they just push the Waynes into the
Wayne.
So good. Albert.
I like this film a lot. I think this film know what it's supposed to be, and they really embrace it. And that's what makes it a lot of fun. And upon the rewatch, it's just like, yeah, this is. I know what's it's supposed to be. I'm not expecting it to be like some serious film or anything. So I'm enjoying it a lot. And one of the funniest moments, in my opinion, I don't know why I find it so funny. Maybe it's the way how they draw it. But the part where Batman is chasing the Teen Titans, and it went from his Batmobile and then to the I forgot what happened, and then Bat roller skates, and then he jumped onto Alfred. The way how Alfred was running and Batman was riding on top of him was hilarious. And yeah, this was just a lot of fun. And I wonder in theaters how many kids actually ask their parents that last question that Robin asked.
Yep.
How many parents have to have that conversation? So it's like, oh, interesting.
The balls on Warner Brothers for putting that joke in the movie, because literally, like, you're going to an animated DC kids movie. You got to imagine you got a lot of kids under 10 there. And then Robin just grabbing the camera. On the way home, ask your parents where babies come from. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, what? Yeah. Brian, have you seen this?
I did. I've had to sit through a lot of horrible cartoons as my kids are growing up. But Teen Titans Go is one I expected to just hate because I'm not a DC fan and just kind of some of the style of it. But then I once I watched an episode or two, I was hooked, and I watched it probably more than they did after that point. So I love the TV show, and so they made a movie of it. And I will agree with Koho actually that the actual like through line, the plot of the movie, I don't really care about. But this is a movie that it's just got so many funny moments and jokes and individually. I just had a blast watching this movie. Because I like everything about it. I like, I think that Cyborg in Teen Titans Go and including the movie is the best version of Cyborg out there because the Justice League one sucks. But Kari Payton as Cyborg here is great. But so I had a blast watching this movie.
All right, Boatman, your least favorite movie that you logged this week?
I'm going with another film in this franchise 2 weeks in a row. This time it's not Predator though. It's Alien. Alien 3. Alien 3 is it's neither as bad as the people who really hate it say or as good as the defenders say. It's a bad movie. You can tell though there are times where Fincher is trying to get something good out of it, but it's awful. It's pretty bad. There are some good, like the actors are all doing a good job. Like every actor in this movie is doing a good job. But yeah, it's really stupid. I think ultimately cutting down the number of aliens in the movie is kind of a dumb idea when we expanded that in Aliens. I think this movie just ruins a lot of the great things about Aliens. I think that the prison planet really doesn't make all that much sense and feels kind of stupid. This movie just feels convoluted and kind of dumb, and there's not really anything that entertaining in it. There are some good performances, though.
Yeah, I'm a little more kind to it than you are, but I agree. I don't think it's a good movie. I think there's some interesting moments. I really like the chase through the prison towards the end where you're kind of looking at it from the POV of the alien and they're closing all the doors on it, trying to trap it and everything. I like that scene. I think the burst out of the dog is actually pretty good and effective. But overall, yeah, I mean, like this is nowhere near the worst in the Alien series. I think the fourth film takes the cake and it's not even close. I'd rather watch this one than the fourth one any day of the week, but I agree. It's not good. But I don't hate it. I would never choose to watch it though. Koho, have you seen this? What are you doing?
I don't think people want to see me slurping down spaghetti on screen. So I was just so that's why I'm just like camming off in between. I have actually not gotten Alien 3 yet. Like that's the next one on the watch. I've heard it's pretty bad, so I've been putting it off.
All right, Jack.
This movie is fine. It's not as bad as people say it is. It's not top 100 material, Nazario, but it's fine. It's fine. Charles Dance is in it, which is a guaranteed way of getting me to watch a movie. If he's in it, I'm there. So yeah, it's fine. It exists. My life is somewhat unaffected by having seen it. So yeah.
Albert?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of this film. I don't like that the CGI I don't think works well for the alien in this film. I think it looks very goofy. And aside from that, I don't want to spoil anything, but something happened in the very early in the film that was like, that just ruined the whole franchise for me.
Yep.
I think if you've seen it, you know what I mean. But not the biggest fan of it, but I do agree the Resurrection is worse than this one. So.
Yeah. Brian?
I'll spoil it. Yeah, they start off the movie by killing off Newton Hudson. I mean, I'm sorry, Hicks. It's like you take two of the characters people love most in Aliens and you get rid of them from the very beginning. Now, I am one of the defenders of this movie. I actually think this movie is a lot better than people give it credit for. Is it as good as Alien and Aliens? No. well, I mean, I actually probably prefer it a little bit to Alien, but that's, I know, a minority opinion. I will say that right up front. But this is a movie. I mean, it takes some chances, it does something different with it, which is kind of what the Alien franchise has done with every film. They kind of, change up different director, different style, different tone to it, and not everything worked. I think this is definitely a movie where you can feel a ton of studio interference in it. This was David Fincher's first film, so he didn't have any pull. It's kind of funny that Boatman did The Predator before, and now Alien 3, because it's the same thing with Alien 3 and then Shane Black with The Predator. Like, you can feel the things that they were trying to do, but then you can feel how the studio is like, no, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen. And they just interfered with it to the point where the directors almost wanted to disown these movies. Like, I know when they did a director's cut of this movie for a Blu-ray box set that came out, Fincher wouldn't do it. So his editor put one together that is as close to Fincher's original vision as he could get it, but it still wasn't a director's cut. But I mean, I like it. I admit it has its faults to it, but I still enjoy it a lot.
Okay. Brian, why don't we stick with you for your least favorite movie you logged this week?
My least favorite, I know that you rewatched recently and rather enjoyed it, and that is The Little Things. Movie from last year that was with Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. I held off watching this movie for the longest time because it didn't really appeal to me much, and then I didn't hear reviews that really changed my mind much on it. Then I heard a few people say they liked it, including I saw Tim's review, saying he rewatched it and liked it a lot more this time. So I thought, you know what, why not? It's free on HBO Max. I'll check it out. And this is just a movie that I don't know why it exists. It's like, first of all, it's like this movie's like apparently it was written back in the 90s and sat on a shelf forever. And they made it now, but then instead of updating it, they still set it in the 90s, which doesn't add anything to the story. There's no reason to have it set in the 90s. It definitely has that feel to it, and including having some serious Seven envy. I mean, this movie has whole scenes and characters that really feel like this dude wanted to write Seven, and it's just more than coincidence. It's like clearly this dude had some envy there. But Denzel is going to do his Denzel thing. Although he's kind of a little muted. He's more of a, he's not quite a dynamic character. Rami Malek, I can't stand to watch in pretty much anything. Just the shape of his face and the facial expressions he makes all the time, and I don't think he's a very good actor. So I have a hard time watching him, and this didn't change my mind. And Jared Leto, I don't understand why he always wants to do these like body transformations. And in this one, he had this prosthetic nose on and these dark contacts, and he puts on a weird voice. It's like Jared Leto's a really good actor. I don't know why he feels the need. He couldn't just play this, normal. He had to feel this need to try and do something weird with it, which you're constantly distracted by the fake nose and by the eyes and by the weird voice. And then you get to the actual plot of the movie. I mean, it kind of just meanders along, and then you get to the end, which is completely unsatisfying, completely unresolved. It's like, what was the point of the last 2 hours? So I was not a fan of this movie. There you have it.
Yeah, I liked it when I first saw it, but I agree I was unsatisfied with the ending, and I think that's by far the weakest part, but also kind of the point. And it's definitely one of those movies where I rewatched it, and I just think that Denzel is so good in it. It kind of helped with the story issues that I had. I like Rami Malek. I don't think he should have won the Oscar that year. I don't think that. I like Bohemian Rhapsody, and like, don't get me wrong, like I'm a fan of that movie. I just don't think he deserves to win that Oscar. But I do like him as an actor, and I liked him in this. I liked Jared Leto in this. A lot of people like hate Jared Leto. I like him.
I like him very much as an actor. He just does weird things like this.
Yeah, I've liked him in quite most things that I've seen him in. I have enjoyed his performance. So, and that it was no different here. But yeah, I'm a sucker for grimy crime stuff, even if it is like B tier, not the best, like not Seven, even if it's trying to be Seven. Well, I'd rather watch something that's trying to be Seven and has Denzel Washington in it than most other things. So to me, it worked. But when other people, like, if you look at the rating spread on this thing on Letterboxd, Koho and I have it at a 4-star, and then everything else is pretty much in the 3 lower, lots of 2.5s, lots of 2s. So I get it that people don't love this one. It worked for me. But yeah, Koho, you liked this a lot.
I'll just be totally honest. I don't really understand the intense hatred for this one. I think it's good. I get that it's like very clearly a movie that he wrote in the 90s and they finally got the funding to make it in 2021. Like that's exactly what happened. But like I think all three of them are good. Like I think Rami is good. I think Denzel's great. I actually think this is Jared Leto's best performance of his career. And I don't like Jared Leto. Like I think he's like really good as like a creepy, off-putting serial killer guy. Like I think that he's just that's his niche. He should play really creepy, unlikable people because that's just what he looks and feels like. I'm sorry, he feels like an asshole, and I don't like Jared Leto, but I think he's really good in this. I hate Jared Leto and House of Gucci, Cameron Patterson. I think that's the worst performance of 2021. I cannot stand him. I think Paolo Gucci's the worst thing to happen this year. But I think that he's really good in this. I like the little things. I don't understand the people who hate it. Rami is the worst performance of the three, but I also don't understand Rami hatred either. I like Rami Malek, and like I'm not mad he won. Like you said, I'm not mad he won that. Like I get that he's not my pick either. He shouldn't have a Best Actor Oscar for Borat. But I think he's good. But I like little things. I don't get it.
Boatman, have you seen it?
No, I didn't see it.
Jack,
I haven't, but like Rami Malek is an actor that I like, and I really like Denzel Washington, so I'll see it eventually. And I don't hate Jared Leto like so many people do, but I don't really like him either. If I could compare Jared Leto to a movie, he would be Alien 3. I don't hate him, I don't like him, but he exists, and I'm fine.
Jared Leto is the Alien 3 of people. I agree.
Did you see this one, Albert?
No, I have not seen this one. I know about it existing. I don't know if I will check it out.
There's a blurb for the poster.
I knew this existed.
Yes.
All right, Albert, why don't we stick with you for your least favorite movie along this week?
Yeah, so I actually just watched this right after work before the show. I don't know why I decided to watch this film, but it's god awful. I watched Marmaduke.
Why would you do this to yourself?
I don't know. I guess maybe in the back of my head, I'm like, I need to watch a movie that's bad so I can talk about it and love it. But no, it's a bad film. It's if you don't know what it is, Owen Wilson voiced a talking dog, and yeah, it's not good. The I think just the animation of how they animate the mouths of the dogs are like weird. They sort of make it. In a way, there are parts of the film where they try to make it sort of like a high school film, but with dogs. And instead of a high school, it's in a dog park. And it's not good. All the human actors, such as Lee Pace, and the character works around it, is also not inspiring at all. There is a scene where the dogs are surfing. I don't know who pitched that idea, but cool, man. Yeah, it's just, and as I thought the film could not get any worse. And then the end of the film, they CGI all the dogs dancing, and it's not like the good kind of dancing like in Scooby-Doo, the live action one, but this is like awful CGI dog dancing. And yeah, it's not fun.
I'm glad that we now have the Albert metric of good to bad CGI dog dancing. I saw this when it came out, and I remember thinking it was pretty bad. I haven't seen it since, obviously, but yeah, I liked your review that simply said "woof." That is a Tim review if I've ever seen it, Albert. Koho, have you seen Marmaduke?
Not since I was 10, Cotton. I was 10 years old. My parents wanted to go see Iron Man 2, and they deemed that I was not quite old enough to see Iron Man 2.
That makes me so depressed.
And that my sister was definitely not old enough to see Iron Man 2, and so they instructed me to go take her to see Marmaduke, and I saw Marmaduke and not Iron Man 2, and I'll never forgive them.
What the fact that you were ever young enough that your parents thought maybe you weren't shouldn't go see Iron Man 2.
Well, the thing is, it was like
I
right
was
on
in
the,
the
right on
same
the,
situation.
No, I
it was
understand.
like right on the border where they were like, "You're 10."
No, I know, I
It's
understand.
close.
It weirds me out. It freaks
Oh, that I
me
was
out.
10. That I was 10 when Iron Man 2 came out. I was 8 when The Dark Knight and Iron Man came out. Sit with that for a minute.
Yeah,
My first MCU movie in theaters was The Avengers.
All right, Boatman, Marmaduke. I feel like you would love this.
That's a little insulting. I haven't seen Marmaduke, but I've seen the trailer to Marmaduke enough times to tell you that it opens with California. It's that trailer will be forever etched into my memory. But yeah, even 10-year-old Boatman was like, no, I don't want to see this. And I watched Beverly Hills Chihuahua. So my metric for George Lopez talking animal movies is very low.
Jack, Marmaduke, yes or no?
Not in 10 years. It is a movie I watched a lot as a child because I don't know. So yeah, I haven't seen it in like a decade, and I don't exactly plan to rewatch it.
Yeah, Albert's a masochist. Let's go to Brian. Brian, you seen this?
Oh no, this is one that I've managed to avoid ever seeing. Although I can't get over the fact that Scooby-Doo is considered the good CG animated dog dancer.
It's better than this.
All right,
relatively, I think.
Jack, let's go to your least favorite movie you logged this week.
Oh boy, I'm gonna go a little further back than a week because I don't think I logged a movie that I didn't like. So most recent one that I just don't like is Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the movie, and it's not good shit. It's really bad, but still not even the worst Star Wars movie because Attack of the Clones is just awful. But no, I hate the animation in it. Ahsoka, I'm not a fan of Ahsoka in this one. I kind of just want to forget about this movie, but I can't because then I'll miss trivia questions, and then so unfortunately I have to keep it in my brain. So that's my life right now. It's not great.
What planet does the film open on?
Shit. Multiple choice.
Multiple choice. What is it, Koho?
It's Christophsis.
It is Christophsis. So I don't like this movie. I do think I go back and forth between this and Attack of the Clones being my least favorite. I will say this. I'm watching Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the TV show right now, and I have absolutely fallen in love with it. So I haven't watched this movie since watching the show. It's going to be interesting to go back and kind of see, do I have a softer spot for it after watching the show? I don't know. But I'm a big fan of the show, like the show a lot. And I like Ahsoka and Anakin's relationship. And I think some of the action scenes in this are decent. Like I think the clones fighting the droids on Christophsis is fun. And I like Asajj Ventress as a villain, but yeah, overall, like, the whole fucking Jabba the Hutt's son is so fucking stupid. It's Cody's favorite Star Wars moment, I know, but overall for me, I'm not a big fan. So Koho, you knew Christophsis. What do you think about the movie?
I don't think this movie's terrible. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I think it's just like a shitty arc of the Clone Wars edited together into a movie. It's one of the like lesser things you'd find in the Clone Wars. I think the animation looks just as fine as the show did when it first started, which is to say it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not that style of animation is not going to be for everyone. I think it's fine. I think the plot's fine. I don't think this is the worst. I would say it's top 3 worst Star Wars by proxy of like, it doesn't match up to how great most of the other stuff in the franchise is. But like, yeah, I wouldn't call it worse than Attack of the Clones. I wouldn't call it worse than The Rise of Skywalker. Like, I think like this is a pretty decent film. It's fine.
Boatman.
I want to defend the animation in this movie a little bit. This is legitimately one of the best looking PS2 games I've ever seen. The only reason I didn't get to play the actual game, it was just a bunch of cutscenes. But I'm sure the game itself is a lot of fun. No, this movie sucks.
I fucking hate you.
The movie sucks. Movie's not good. I'm sorry. It is my least favorite Star Wars movie because it's the only Star Wars movie that really doesn't give me anything to latch on to, good or bad, right? Like, this movie is just such a, like, fart that doesn't smell, right? It's stupid and it's bad, but it also doesn't really leave you with anything. It is such like a miserable experience to watch. It just looks ugly. Like, it looks butt ugly. And the actual story is really stupid. It's just a really stupid movie.
Albert.
Yeah, I don't care much about this film. Probably the most forgettable of these Star Wars film. I guess the animation is awful. But yeah, there's nothing fun about it, really. The only good thing about this film is that it's short. So at least there's that. But yeah, I mean, I know it's spun off the show, which is a good thing. I've never seen the show, but I heard good things about it. But yeah, the film itself, not fun.
Before we move on, I want to give some clarity here. On Letterboxd for this film, here are some of the ratings. We got half stars from Cody Newberry, Lucas Schilbach. You got some 1 stars from Paulo Yama, some Adelaide Spences, your Cameron Holtzmans, your Robert Parkers. You got some 1.5s from Jack and Boatman. You got your 2 stars from me and Albert, your Scott Harveys, your Thomas Scullys, your David Garcias. You even got a 2.5 from Kane McMillan, Jake Marangoni, Kaleb Koho. Hell, you even got a 3-star in there with Thomas Eanes. Then we got Brian Michaels, who has this rated highest at a 4-star. Brian, tell us, you like Star Wars: The Clone Wars?
He's a big fan of the Funky Muffin, Tim.
That rating was based on my original review of it. Honestly, I've not watched this in a long time. But at the time, it's like Star Wars was done. There weren't going to be any sequel trilogy or anything like that. So this was like the prequels are done. We got this. This is where it was going. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it captured the spirit of Star Wars. I mean, I think the characters were still kind of had that same feeling to it. So I thought, this could be the start of something good. And what I find puzzling is there are people that like hate this movie, but love the series. When this movie is literally the first 3 episodes of the series made into a movie. When they're making this show and they decide, you know what, let's launch it with a movie. They take the first 3 episodes, squish them together, and put it in theaters. And it's like so I find it puzzling that people are like, oh, we love the show, but the movie sucked. I think it's just because maybe they judge it by a different metric if it's in the theater versus on TV. I don't know what that is. And yes, obviously, like any show, it kind of probably improved and kind of found its footing as it went on. But I thought this is the start of something good. Do I still think I'd rate it 4 stars? I don't know if I would if I rewatched it today. It might drop a little bit, but not much. It'd probably still be at least 3.5. And I do think it's better than at least 2 of the prequels. So it is what it is. I know everybody has their own taste on Star Wars movies, but like I also like Rise of Skywalker, so that's just me. But
I do too.
It is what it is.
I don't hate I'm with you, buddy.
I stand by. They should have edited the last 4 episodes that they called the finale into a movie and put that out, because then that would have been a redeeming movie to end on for Clone Wars.
Okay, so I will go next. We talked about this, I think 2 weeks ago or last week. I don't remember. I think Brian brought this up. I don't know. Guys, I saw Moonfall. It's so fucking bad.
I had not seen it yet.
Okay, so I don't remember who brought it up. Maybe you know what? I think Scott brought it up last week. I think Harvey brought it up last week. This movie is a crime against humanity. And I like stupid, big, dumb movies like this. Like, kind of my bread and butter. Cody Newberry, one of my best friends, makes fun of me often for the dumb movies I like. And he likes some of those disaster movies too, but I tend to like the really shitty ones even. And this was awful. Have you seen it yet, Brian?
I have.
You have? Okay, good. I want to know your take. I thought this was boring as fuck. And then when it finally got interesting and things started happening, the reasons for why they're happening, the plot, the exposition here is so terrible. The macaw was saved. She just didn't even have to go. I went by myself, and I wish I was dead. I really did. It was so bad. I'm a big Patrick Wilson fan. You all hate him. I love him. Even he couldn't save this thing. The only thing that semi-saved this is, to quote my good friend Tyler Butler, the guy who played Samwell Tarly from Game of Thrones, his smile lights up a room. But other than that, fucking kill me. I thought this was terrible. Has anybody other than Brian seen this?
But imagine having an opinion passionate enough on Patrick Wilson to love or hate him.
Oh, I love him. I think he's beautiful. Brian, tell me your take on the film.
So I first saw the previews for this, and I was all in. I was like, you know what, this is a big, Roland Emmerich, destruction of the world, popcorn movie, and I was like, I love those movies. I love 2012, Day After Tomorrow, Independence Day, all that kind of stuff. I eat that shit up. So I was like, I'm gonna love this movie because it's the moon is fun. It's affecting the weather and the oceans and shit, and then the gravity starts taking effect and ripping things up from the ground. I'm like, I'm in for that. Then the second trailer came out, and they explained that it showed that it wasn't just the moon like falling out of orbit. It was some kind of alien presences causing this to happen. And at that point, I already started to lose interest in it. Or at least my interest waned a little bit. But I was still ready to enjoy this movie. But then I went and saw it, and yeah, pretty much everything Tim says is right. I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than him, just because it does have some cool destruction scenes, and there are some funny lines and things in the movie. But overall, it's just a failure. I like Patrick Wilson. I like Halle Berry. I like what's his name from Game of Thrones. I don't remember his name. But all of them, they couldn't save this movie. I think the movie's biggest problem is it tried to take itself too seriously. I mean, a movie like this needs to be like, you need to know what movie they're in and just have fun with it. And it tried to be serious about it. And you're just like, and we could go 3 hours on all of the plot holes and things that are just nonsensical about anything that happened in this movie, but we won't bother. But yeah, don't bother seeing this.
Yeah, I watched this and Marry Me in the same day, and I would watch Marry Me 100 times over this movie. Marry Me was delightful, and even though everyone hates it, this was like the biggest turd that ever could have happened. Ocean Master, fucking beautiful guy. Love him. Thank you. Also, Day After Tomorrow, haven't seen it since I was 12, but it was my favorite movie for a good 2 years when it came out. So
I am curious because you know how the Asylum and some of those companies make all those knockoff films and things at theaters. There's already one on
Moon Crash
called Moon Crash, starring Jeremy London. I'm almost curious to watch that and see if that's better than this one.
Let's do a watch along next Tuesday. Me and Brian watching Moon Crash. You heard it here first. Okay. So those are our worst movies. We are going to move on to our main topic. Adventure films is what we're talking about tonight. So, Koho, do you want to kick us off with the first film in our adventure film list?
Absolutely. Everyone's going to be expecting this. It's got a score composed by Hans Zimmer. It's about two guys and a girl and an adventure called The Road to El Dorado. Zigging and zagging. The Road to El Dorado. The Road to El Dorado.
I thought I was going to say The Lone Ranger.
Well, at first I was trying to set up pirates, but it's all right. The Road to El Dorado, I think, is a phenomenal adventure film. I think it's actually really, really well written, and it's really funny. It's written by the same guys who wrote The Pirates of the Caribbean, Ted Elliott, Terry Rossio. I think that Kevin Kline and Kenneth Branagh have really great chemistry together as the two leads, Miguel and Tulio. Really clever jokes and bits back and forth with each other in this sort of imposter syndrome movie of just these guys who find the lost city of gold with a ticking clock of adventurers who are also going to follow them to the lost city of gold and trying to protect it when they are mistaken for gods from people within and outside who want the gold. I think is a really great story, a really great adventure. I think some of my favorite bits in it being when they're fighting at the beginning in their big con where he's just, you fight like my sister. I have fought your sister. That's a compliment. Which is one of my favorite back and forths in the whole movie. I think they're great. I think all the animals that you get the horse and you get the armadillo. I think they're great. I think Cortez, who is voiced by Jim Cummings, has a very minimal part, and he is creepy. He is just really creepy and intimidating as this, like, he's going to destroy the Lost City of Gold, and there's nothing you can do about it. He is Cortez, and I think all of it's just all great.
Yeah, I don't love this movie. I saw it when I was pretty young, and when it came out, and I remember this was in like the height of me being a Disney shill. I mean, I'm still in the height of that a little bit, I guess. But like, I was all Toy Story, all of Bug's Life, all Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast. I didn't give two shits about this when it came out. And rewatching it for trivia the last few years, it's never grabbed me the way that it's grabbed a lot of other people. I really don't even love the music that much. Like I think it's fine. Like I think it's a 3-star movie for me. I think that it's mid-tier DreamWorks, honestly. A lot of people love it, and that's cool, and I get why people love it. But it doesn't work for me. So I'm definitely in the minority there. Boatman, what is your take?
I love this movie. I think this movie is super fun, perfect, like adventure. It's clearly like kind of trying to do a more comedic family take on the Michael Caine, Sean Connery movie, The Man Who Would Be King. It's kind of going for like that same kind of story of two guys who are pretending to be gods or kings and kind of bamboozling this small civilization. And I think the dynamic between Tulio and Miguel is what really works here. They are so much fun. It's got a lot of witty back and forth. Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio are great writers, and they write really good, fun, witty back and forth, and they're great at doing this type of adventure stuff, and I'm sure they will come up again and again in this show tonight.
Jack?
I don't have a lot to say on this movie. I haven't seen it in a while. I plan on doing a full DreamWorks rewatch soon, so I'll have more about on then, but it's fine. I like it. I remember liking it quite a bit when I was younger. I just haven't seen it in quite a few years. So,
Albert?
Yeah, I like this film. I don't love it. I think, like what Boatman said, the character dynamic is what works best here between the two leads. I like the exploration of the El Dorado, obviously, like all the different parts of that world, like the sport with where you have to score all the way to the very top. I thought that's very fascinating, and that's a real thing. I was like, wow, that's actually really cool. But yeah, I don't love it. I don't love the music that much. I think it's fine. It's not among my favorites. But yeah, so yeah, pretty much it.
All right, Brian?
I kind of in the same boat as you, Tim, in that I think this is mid-tier DreamWorks. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's kind of somewhere there in the middle for it. There's things about it I like, especially being, the main two leads, of course. Like you, the music kind of didn't do it for me. And yeah, it was all right.
Okay. Let's move over to Boatman. Boatman, your first pick.
My first pick, really my
your only pick tonight, because we have a big panel. Your only
you're really gonna make me go second when I only get one pick.
Would you like me to go?
Yeah, because I need a little bit more time.
Okay. Can anybody guess?
Have you met me?
Can anybody guess what I'm gonna pick?
Self-burn, those are rare.
Is it your third favorite movie of all time?
No, but you're close.
Is it the obvious Tim pick?
Yeah, it's the obvious Tim pick. I'm gonna go with Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
I have changed, and Return of the King is my favorite of the trilogy officially. I rewatched the trilogy 2 weeks ago. It was the first thing we watched with the dog in the house, so we have to get him started correctly. But I think this one just has more of that adventure element to it. If I was purely going off of the amount of adventure in one of these movies, I'd probably go Unexpected Journey. But there's a fair amount of it in this one, and I think this totally qualifies. And I joke a lot about bringing up these movies in these lists, but I think this one totally fits. And I just love, I know, just absolutely shocking. I just love the journey from all the characters, the adventure that everybody goes on the whole time. I think that this is there's other ones that I know are going to be brought up that I think are on the same level of like just how high quality you go from location to location, the big amount of characters and all the fun differences in every character. No one character really feels the same. No location really feels the same. Every place they go is distinct and different and feels cool and to the world that we're in. And I don't know, fuck, I love the movie. I think it's fucking great. Like, again, Return of the King is my favorite, but I think that purely just the Fellowship going on on the start of the adventure here, I think just works better as the whole adventure movie package for me. So, Koho, break my heart.
It's my least favorite one of the three.
Really?
Yeah, it's my least favorite one.
That's fine.
I think they get progressively better each one, where I'm more entertained by what's going on. These are just not movies for me. Fantasy is a very hit or miss thing for me at this point. The Fellowship of the Ring has too much exposition that I don't care about. Like, I don't have a problem with exposition. It's just they give me so much stuff that doesn't work for me. Like, it doesn't come at me and, like, I'm not interested in this random king that lived 4,000 years ago. Or, you know, that sort of kind of exposition. That's not a specific example. I'm saying that sort of exposition in fantasy is just not my thing. So, like, with the prologues, like, 12 billion years ago in the past, Isildur cuts the fucking finger off the guy in the ring, and the 80 rings are given to these people. I'm sitting here going, what the fuck does any of this mean? So I understand your love of these. I'll never love them that way. I also totally get picking this as the adventure pick. This is definitely the most adventurous one, but I probably would have picked Return of the... I think Return of the King is the best of the three for me, just because, like, there's so much happening. That's like, there's a lot for me to gravitate to in that one.
Yeah. They go on a boat in that one, so you probably like that one a little
Exactly.
bit.
They're on the water.
Let's go. Well, that might only be the extended cut. Let's go to Boatman. What do you think about this one?
No, this goes back and forth between my favorite or second favorite. I think this one's great for... I feel like a lot of the same reasons why this is a lot of people's least favorite of the three. This is the one that has like the most character moments, right? This is the one that is really focused on just building the dynamics of these characters and really just kind of letting you hang out with them for a movie, right? There are action and big adventure moments, but really it's kind of getting to know... It's really a character study of the members of the Fellowship, and I think there are a lot of really nice moments with that. I love the actual Fellowship meeting. I love all the stuff with. I think Sam is like such a fun side character. No, I think Fellowship. Yeah, Fellowship goes back and forth. Right now, I'm going to say Fellowship is my favorite of the three. Yeah, no, super fun movie, super great, excellent pick.
Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not obviously a huge fan of the Lord of the Rings movies like some of you guys are, but I enjoy the Fellowship movies. I think this one, it just being the first movie, it does suffer from having to be a lot of setup and a lot of exposition, kind of get into the thing. You know, or if it was a single movie, obviously it would have, you know, done away with a lot of that or gotten it out in the first section of the movie. But I mean, it's undeniable. These are great films, and I don't really hold one any that much higher than the other. So I'm all for it.
Albert.
Yeah, I really like this film a lot. This is my second favorite of the trilogy. And yeah, I've seen this film a couple of times, but every time I rewatch them, I'm always amazed by the world building. And I was like, because it's incredible what Peter Jackson did with just the world building and the scope of everything. And just seeing these characters the smallest creatures, pretty much just going on the biggest adventure and starting it off. It's always it's mesmerizing each time. The score is awesome, and it brings much more to the vibe of the adventure itself. There are scary moments, there are fun moments, there are moments where it's more like when they reach Rivendell, so it's more relaxing a little bit, give you time to like settle in and then go on a grand adventure again. So I really liked it a lot.
And Jack.
Yeah, no, it's no secret. I love this trilogy. This is my second favorite in the trilogy. It's my third favorite movie ever made. This would be my pick, though, for adventure movie, because I do think this is the one that fits the topic best. If you didn't take it, I was gonna. But no, this movie's phenomenal. It's got some of my favorite performances in just any movie ever. I love all the performances from every member of the Fellowship. I especially love Sean Bean in this movie. I think he's phenomenal. He's great. But no, great pick. I rewatched this just a couple of weeks ago when I was in quarantine for the second time, and yeah, it was great.
All right, Boatman, are you prepared?
Yeah. My pick, I think, is going to make someone who I don't know if I know they're probably not watching this, but they're probably listening to this. It's going to make them very happy. Maggie, I don't know if you can hear this, but my pick is The Princess Bride.
I can hear you.
She can't. That's cool. The Princess Bride is like, I think, one of the quintessential like adventure movies, right? Like, this is just such like a fun movie. That's really, there's no other way to describe it. It's a really fun, lighthearted adventure movie with just the right sense of irony, right? I love all of these side characters, but the three criminals, right? Vinzini, Inigo, and Fezzik are all great in their own ways, and that whole sequence where Wesley is battling all three of them is so great, right? Because the first one, you have the really awesome, like, Errol Flynn-esque sword fight going on with and I am also not left-handed. Like, that's great. And that's really fun. And then you have the great little Fezzik, I'll put down my rock, you put down your sword, and we'll fight like civilized folk. Like, that's great. And then I think one of the greatest scenes in any movie, legitimately, that's not an exaggeration, is the Vinzini wine cup scene. I think that scene is just so funny and so great. Clearly, you have a dizzying intellect. I'm just getting started. That's so great. Like, this movie knows exactly what it is, and that it's doing like this kind of classic, almost like 1940s kind of pulp, but it's doing it with a wink and a smile, and it's having a lot of fun doing it. And that's what makes this movie so special. Just a perfect adventure movie. I love it so much.
You a fan?
Yeah.
You like it? I have seen this movie not a lot, surprisingly. We owned the VHS and my sisters watched it a lot growing up, but I didn't really see it all the way through until high school. And I like the movie a lot. I think it's really, really great. It's just not one that I've seen so many times. I can't quote the movie. Like, I can't do all the, but every time I watch it, I have a great time. But it's just not one of my the top tier movies that I always go back to all the time. But I am a big fan. I'm saving it for my video store challenge favorite movie of someone in your family. I'm saving it for that, so I will be watching it soon. But yeah, no, I like it. Let's shake things up. Let's go to Albert.
I like this film a lot. It's on paper, just based on the title, you probably expect like, oh, this is just gonna be a very stupid film or anything like that. But then you watch it, it has so much heart. It's so charming. It's hilarious. I like the physical acting of Wesley when his whole buddies did. and I love that. And yeah, the
Mostly
ROUS.
dead.
You mostly did, yes. And the ROUSs are awesome. Whenever that scene comes to screen, and yeah, it have a great sense of adventure as well. The romance is always nice. And the best thing about this film is that I introduced it to a couple of my friends who, when they heard the title, they're like, "This is stupid. We're all gonna hate it." And after we watch it, they're like, "This is one of the best films ever."
I feel like everyone has the Fred Savage reaction to the title,
Exactly.
and then the Fred Savage reaction to the actual movie.
Brian.
Yeah, this is one of the best films ever made. I mean, it's in my top 20, 25, whatever it is, for a reason. And it's one of those movies that people say this about a lot of films, but this truly is a film that has something for everyone. Like, it's got the romance, it's got the comedy, it's got action sequences, it's got fantasy, it's got everything you could want in this movie. Like Joseph and Tim, I also did not see it until I was in high school. Of course, I saw it in the theater, but we won't talk about that.
That's when it came out, Brian.
This was in the theater. But yeah, and I've enjoyed this movie ever since. Like you said, people have that same reaction as Fred Savage. My kids, I enjoyed showing them for the first time, and my son was like, "I don't want to watch a movie called The Princess Bride," and now he loves it too. So everybody, even Deadpool liked it when you read it to Fred Savage. Come on.
Koho.
Yeah, I really like this movie too. It's insanely quotable. I don't know anyone who actually actively dislikes this movie. I think it's just a great movie all the way through. I actually think my weirdest one criticism with the movie is not even a criticism, it's just a me thing. Is once we get past the three criminals and we're basically halfway through the movie, I lose a little bit of interest. I'm a little less interested in the last half of the movie where with Miracle Max and actually saving the Princess Bride and all that than I am with the first half with the three criminals, because that's how good they are. That's how much I love with Inigo and Vizzini and all of them doing their individual challenges. I love Wallace. It's really that I just love Wallace Shawn's performance in this movie that much. That the moment he leaves the movie, I'm like, okay, I still think this is great. I just don't love it as much. I clearly can't drink the cup in front of me because you would poison, but I can't drink the cup in front of you. And just that whole interaction is just great. I really love Wallace Shawn specifically in this movie. I think he actually really should have been considered for the Oscars that year.
Jack.
Yeah, no, this movie's kind of perfect. I really love this movie. It's I rewatched a bunch of clips of it yesterday, and I for reasons that I was just dying laughing the entire time, and now I really want to rewatch the movie. So yeah, no, it's a great movie. I love the Miracle Max scene. I think that's probably my favorite in the movie. Although I do love Wallace Shawn and the two goblets with the poison, and it's great. Yeah, no, perfect. Kind of a perfect movie.
All right, Jack, why don't we stick with you for your first pick?
For sure. Figuring out which way I want to go with this one. Screw it. Yeah, no, I'm not going to go with the one that most people would go with in this franchise, but I do like Raiders of the Lost Ark almost as much as I like the third one, which is The Last Crusade.
Yes!
That's my Indiana Jones movie right there.
That's the one I was worried about. I almost picked that, so I'm glad you picked it.
Yeah, no, I honestly would have picked The Princess Bride if you hadn't picked it, so it worked out both ways. So, no, this movie's just great. I love Indiana Jones just as a character. I think he's one of just the most effortlessly cool characters, even though he's kind of a nerd. And I love Sean Connery. Love Sean Connery as Indy's father. I think he gives some of probably my favorite. Well, I haven't seen nearly enough Sean Connery's work, but he's probably gives us my favorite performance of his in that movie. I think he's fantastic in that. I especially love when they're in the airplane and he's trying to shoot the other airplane down. He shoots their own tail of the airplane, and so they got us. I love that bit. I love the three trials when they actually find where the Holy Grail is. Spoiler alert, I guess, for this decades-old film. No, it's a great movie. I haven't seen it in a few years, but it's phenomenal, and I really am looking forward to rewatching it. So, great film.
Yeah, I bought the Indiana Jones 4K box set when it came out back in June of 2021. And for some reason, it's taken me a really long time to get through them, just because things came up, trivia stuff, what have you. But I just watched this last week before, within the last 2 weeks, I rewatched this one. And it's my favorite of the four movies. I love Raiders as well. I think they're both kind of perfect adventure movies. But I do like this one more purely based on the father-son relationship. I love the Hitler moment. Is a moment in the movie that I think is just so fucking good. And I love the opening. I love the young Indiana Jones opening. I think it's fucking great. And just all the way around, this one is so much fun. This is the one that I remember watching the most as a kid. And so this one has and probably will always be my favorite. But I do love Raiders. But yeah, Last Crusade is so. Let's go to Brian.
I'm not a fan of Indiana Jones. No. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I try to avoid like my obvious picks when it comes to these shows, because otherwise, my top 6 adventure movies would have belonged to 2 franchises. So, what it was. So I'm kind of glad somebody else brought one up. I personally, Raiders is my favorite, but really all 3 of them are in my like top 20 movies of all time, because I love these. And so I get it if people, this one resonates more with them. River Phoenix was inspired casting as his son, which I guess it was Harrison Ford's idea from what I understand. And then Sean Connery as the dad, it just works perfectly. Everything about this movie is great.
Yeah. Let's go to Albert.
Yeah, I love this film. It has become my favorite of the franchise as well. Like I echo what everyone have said. Just the whole thing is just so much fun. Like when they meet for the first time and escaping from the fire from the Nazi place. That's such a great introduction to both of the characters. And yet it's perfect adventure film pretty much, and just the ending of riding off in the sunset is just like capping it off in a perfect way.
Koho.
Yeah, I think this is the best one too. I think the reason why I like this one more is because it humanizes Indiana Jones a little bit more than the first one does. In the first one, he's like this really towering action hero, and this one we get to see him sort of taken down a little bit by his own dad being there to kind of keep his ass in check and sort of keep the ego in line. And like also just to show him like we named the dog Indiana. And I think Sean Connery is just like an incredible addition to this franchise as his dad. I also just think the action set pieces are so much more interesting to make the final one rely more on how smart Indiana Jones is rather than how physically intimidating Indiana Jones is. Instead of like, whereas like the first 2 movies all rely on Indiana Jones's muscle and a little bit on his brain and puzzle solving. I like that the last one is almost entirely about the biggest stakes for him in saving his dad, but also in like having to use his knowledge of history, his understanding of problem solving to get through the most incredibly conceived third act trap situation I've ever seen, just down to like each step being cooler and cooler and cooler of just like the almost taking his head off with spears to like having to dance basically across these just these numbered or these lettered path to the leap of faith, which is to me one of the coolest like visual things they've ever done in film, where it's clearly gone, clearly they're clearly not. I love Last Crusade. I think it's a phenomenal film.
I just like that you refer to this as the last film because the other one doesn't exist.
The last, this is true, but to me, it's the last one. But King Crystal Skull is better than.
It's the last one as far as I'm concerned. Yeah.
Crystal Skull is better than Temple of Doom.
That's not true. But
yes, it is.
Temple of Doom's good.
This
Temple of Doom is good.
my favorite of the franchise. I think putting in Henry Jones Sr. was absolutely the correct move. I think that having Sean Connery there to work off of Indiana Jones and really kind of giving him a bit of like a comedic foil, essentially, I think it was a really good move and pays off excellently. And I just love the puzzles, right? The leap of faith, the penitent man, the spelling of the word. I think all of those are so creative and so cool, right? Because it is action, but it's action that, like Koho said, requires Indy to use his brain a little bit. And I also just love she talks in her sleep. Like that's great. Like so many great just old and no ticket comes from this one. That's great.
I love that's one of my favorite. No ticket, and everyone's oh, it's so good. It's great. All right. Let's move on to let's go to Brian.
Well, I'm going to help keep your show short because I'm going to talk about one that no one's seen.
Okay.
Because I mean, obviously, I go with the Indiana Jones movies, things like that, but I like to talk about the ones that maybe people would want to check out. And one adventure movie that I think that more people should see is called Eric the Viking. Okay, this is a movie. It's made essentially by a lot of the guys from Monty Python. It stars Tim Robbins. It's kind of like how Fish Called Wanda was not really a Monty Python film, but it definitely had that Monty Python-esque quality to it because it was, had John Cleese, Michael Palin, written by them, but they had like Kevin Kline, who he intertwined really well with that same brand of comedy. And here, Tim Robbins, back when he was really doing his comedy thing, he worked perfectly with them. John Cleese is in this one. Terry Jones from Monty Python, he directed and wrote it, and he actually plays a character in it as well. It's got Eartha Kitt is in it as Freya. It's got Mickey Rooney as his grandfather. Other than that, it's not a lot of people. People you might recognize their faces, but you don't know who they are. But this is basically a comedy. It's this adventure where Eric is played by Tim Robbins, is this Viking, but he doesn't like to rape and pillage like the other guys do. He's kind of a bumbling idiot kind of Viking. But he ends up going on this quest and recruiting these people to go on this quest with him to try and end the age of Ragnarok. So they have to try and find their way to Valhalla and stuff. And much like most Monty Python and Monty Python movies, it kind of is a series of scenes, but it is on an adventure towards an end. It's not as good as like the Monty Python's best, like Holy Grail and Life of Brian, things like that. But I think it's a very funny movie. Not a lot of people have seen this movie. I would recommend though, if you do see it, make sure you see like the original cut because they came up with this. Well, not a director's cut. It's actually called the director's son's cut. It's literally Terry Jones' son put it together because Terry didn't want to do it, and he just chopped it to pieces. It's literally a half hour shorter than the theatrical cut. They ruined all the pacing, took out a lot of the jokes. So make sure you don't watch that. It's free to watch on Pluto TV right now with ads if you want to watch it. But I would recommend it. It's funny.
I've never even heard of this, but I like the pitch and I like Tim Robbins, so I'm in. Has anybody else seen this?
No.
The only Vikings I like are in Minnesota.
Me and Mike Hanley. That's about it.
All right. Let's go over to Albert then for his first pick.
Garth has seen it.
All right, let's keep it still in the same theme here, from one Holy Grail to another Monty Python. I'm gonna pick Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Yes, this film is a comedy, but it's also an adventure seeking out the Holy Grail, and it's hilarious. I'm pretty sure everyone here have a different favorite joke from this film because there's just so many. And this film is just so much fun. It gets funnier after every rewatch. And just following the different segments, like the one about the witch in the village, that seems hilarious. About fighting the knight, and then both his arms got cut off. This just a scratch. That part is hilarious. Yeah, and it's a grand adventure film. It's written really well, and that the film doesn't even have a clear ending. Yet it works so well for this film because it literally just got cut off because they ran out of budget. That's great. I stumbled across a YouTube video that says Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but only the funny parts, and it's pretty much the whole runtime of the film. So yeah.
I have not seen this since I was in high school. It's been a long time, but I remember loving it. And I'm due for a rewatch on this one. So I don't really have much to add other than I remember loving it. I just haven't seen it in forever. Koho.
I like this one. This is one of my mom's favorites. I think it's really funny. I'm more of a Life of Brian guy. I like Life of Brian more. That one just speaks to me personally in the Monty Python canon as being funnier. But yeah, good choice. I like it. Just But a Scratch is a great joke.
All right. Boatman.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I think this movie is just trying so many different types of jokes, right? You've got some slapsticky stuff. You've got obviously the Black Knight with the arm falling off. You've got these really weird surrealist jokes. Like the opening credits is such like the wrong movie, and then the credits being like, oh, a moose once bit my sister. Like those are all great. And it's come see the violence represented in the system. Come see the violence represented in the system. That's great. Michael Palin does not get enough credit for honestly maybe being the funniest member of Monty Python. It's up for debate, but he's the one who gets the most laughs from me. I think he's absolutely hilarious. But how do we know she's a witch? That is so great. This movie is just super fun. The Bridge of Death. I love this movie.
All right. Who still needs Brian needs to talk about this still, right?
Yeah, we're continuing to talk about all my favorite films of all time because this is obviously up there as well. There's not much I can say everybody else hasn't already said. The entire movie beginning to end is just quotable. You could just, if you tried to do the funniest quotes, you'd end up like the video Albert found, which is just the entire movie. Yeah, there's nothing more to say about it. You guys have covered it.
Jack, anything to add?
The fact that there's a character in this movie. His name is Tim. He's probably my favorite part of this movie. His introduction scene. I don't know why I find it so hilarious, but when he introduced himself, they ask him, "What is your name?" And he's like, "There are some who call me Tim." It says it like a question. It's just the funniest thing to me. No, it's great. I love this movie. I'll never get tired of it. Great movie.
All right.
I feel like Jack's just playing to the host to make up for the monster.
Oh yeah.
That may be part of it. But read my Letterboxd review. That's 3 months old.
In Jack's defense, top right.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, Koho, we're going to your second pick.
My pick is about a group of pirates that sail the ocean. And they don't do anything. I'm doing Jonah. No, I'm not going to pick Jonah. I'm going to pick Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. I love Jonah VeggieTales movie. Don't get me wrong. I was going to do it for the meme, but I'll pick Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest because I need to stay on brand. The Pirates of the Caribbean franchise is my favorite movie franchise of all time. I think the first 3 movies are a perfect trilogy of movies, and probably in discussion for the greatest film trilogy of all time. We could just delete the other 2 from existence. I think Dead Man's Chest is a perfect adventure movie, and a perfect sequel. The way that it builds off the first one in all the ways you want. I love the little things about this movie, the little touches where there's basically a mini movie in the background with Norrington. If you listen to the different throwaway lines of you didn't try to sail through the hurricane, and all the things that happened to him between the first movie to here. I love all the different callbacks to the first movie within this movie. Even when Jack's got Will, a Uniki, snip, snip. It's just great little callbacks to the first movie and the progression between everyone and getting Davy Jones, who I think is a better villain than Barbossa, which is a big ask because Barbossa is incredible in the first movie, and Bill Nighy plays one of the scariest villains in movie history. I think the fight on Isla Crucis is one of the greatest action set pieces ever put to film, with the 3-way sword fight. I think Pinto and Rigetti get to have some of their funniest bits. It's the Bible. You get credit for trying. It's the funniest Pirates movie. It's the best written Pirates movie. It's the scariest one, and it's the one that holds up the best. To me, the first one's really great, but to me, this is the Pirates of the Caribbean. Is this movie has the better villain? It has the better score. Hans Zimmer's score is where all the musical things that I remember of that movie really come in. It has a better, bigger open world of characters that I'm more interested in. Beckett is a great villain who gets to be even better in the third one. I think all the way through. 2 is the best Pirates movie and the best Adventures movie ever made.
Okay. I like the first one more. I get why Koho likes this one as much as he does. I think I finally narrowed down what my actual feelings about this movie, because for a long time it's just been like, it's not as good as the first one, and I don't understand why everyone thinks it's so fucking great. I think here's what it is. I think the action in this movie is better. I think the visual effects are better. The set pieces are better. I think everything from a technical perspective, I think, is better. I even like Davy Jones as a villain better than I like Barbossa as a villain. My issue is I really don't like the third one. I'm really not a big fan. I don't like the first hour of the movie of the third one, and they almost sideline Davy Jones in the third one until the end for Beckett, who I like as a side villain, human villain character, but I don't like I don't like this whole the East India Trading Company is the big bad. No, I want, when I want my pirates, I want that shot in the third one of Jack and Davy Jones on the bow of the ship, sword fighting, and he's holding the chest. I want that shit for 2.5 hours, and I don't think the third one delivers, and it almost hurts this one for me because I don't get the payoff that I'm really looking for. It's almost to me how I feel about the Hobbit movies, if I'm being completely honest.
Wow.
First
Hobbit's the best Middle Earth movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
I said the first Hobbit's the best Middle Earth movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
That's not. Don't be a dick. I'm not trying. Don't be a dick. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just making a comparison in that I love the first one, but the third one I really don't like all that much, and it kind of hurts my enjoyment of the lead up in the second one. So I like the movie. I really do. Like I said, I love the visual effects. I think the action is great. I saw somebody post on Twitter the other day that was like, Davy Jones's CGI effects haven't been topped, and it's kind of hard to argue.
Right.
There are things that I think have matched it or might be better, but it's hard to argue that for 2006 that it still doesn't hold. It holds up so well.
There are MCU movies that look worse than Dead Man's Chest,
Absolutely.
which is kind of crazy.
No, I 100% agree. So I like the movie. I just wish the second one and the third one I kind of unfortunately lumped together because they are so
that's fair. I get
close.
that.
And because the third one doesn't work for me, this one doesn't work as well. But again, I understand if you love the third one and this one, and this one's exemplified, it absolutely makes sense to me. So I'm kind of off this is a bad movie. I don't think it's a bad movie. I still think it's like a 3-star, 4-star movie. But I like it. I don't love it. I like the story in the first one much better and would rather watch that one any day of the week. So
it's also got the best mic drop ending of a movie maybe ever for Dead Man's Chest of just tell me what's become of my shit.
Absolutely. And
that's one of the best endings to a movie ever.
I agree. And it doesn't pay off for me. So
I get that.
Let's go to Jack next on this.
Oh my goodness. Okay, yes, the first two movies are phenomenal. I think they're both. Nope, the second one's not my top 100, but it's very close. I love the first two movies so much, and oh man, the greatest movie trilogy of all time kind of hurts because the third one is just shit. I hate the third movie so much. I'm not going to go on about that. If you want my opinion, read my review for it. It's not good. It's good. Anyways, I love this movie. This movie's great. Davy Jones, I think, is better than Barbossa, and that's saying something because I love Barbossa. He was my favorite villain for a little bit when I was younger, and I think the action in this is incredible. The visual effects, I agree. It's hard to argue that Davy Jones, his design, hasn't been topped because It's true. It is hard to argue, but there's, this movie's phenomenal. I'm not a huge fan that you have to watch the third one in order to get the complete story. So that kind of hurts a little bit for me, but not that much. It's a great movie. Again, Davy Jones's theme is probably my favorite villain theme in any movie. I love it so much. Great movie.
Boatman.
I think that Dead Man's Chest. Yeah, Dead Man's Chest is definitely my favorite Pirates movie. I think this is an excellent film. Right? Look, I understand if you really hate At World's End, sure. But I think if you take that out of the equation and you view this on its own, this movie is awesome. Right? Like the Isla Cruces fight is like such a cool, and this whole movie is just characters like backstabbing each other back and forth, and I love that. And it's all going after the chest, and everybody's trying to get the chest, and they're working together, and they're severing ties, and I love that. And then it all comes together with Norrington, Will, and Jack in this epic three-way fight. And I think that's such a cool scene, and it's just so cool. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It kind of has that same energy of three characters, two who work together a little bit more, but really they're all kind of out for themselves with different levels of motivation, with Will being the good, Jack being the ugly, and Norrington kind of being the bad. And I think that's a really kind of, it honestly does. I've never really put that together. It has that same kind of looking for a thing in a chest, whether it be treasure or Davy Jones's heart. Like, it really does kind of remind me of that. And yeah, I think this movie great. And I love how they make kind of Pintel and Orgetti like side characters more, and a bunch of other, like, I like this one a lot.
Brian.
Yeah, everything Koho said is 100% fact. He's accurate in every single one of his observations. This is the other trilogy that would have made up 3 of my top 6 adventures movies of all time. So I'm glad that both franchises got brought up and I didn't have to waste my spots on them. This is my favorite of the trilogy as well. I think the first one was kind of a lightning in the bottle, and it's like this. It should have sucked. It's based on a theme park ride. This movie should have sucked. And you got Johnny Depp doing some weird drunken thing going on. But then it just worked. And then they decided to make a sequel, and like that could have gone so wrong to try and cash in with a second movie on this. But not only was it as good, but it built on it, expanded the world in huge ways. It set up more stories, and none of it felt artificial. It's like they picked up on little one throwaway lines that were in the first movie. They were able to pick up on that and make through lines to the story with it. I love everything about this movie. I think the most underrated person in it is Jack Davenport as Norrington. I think he gets to have a lot of fun in this movie, because the first one he's kind of the stuffy, antagonist. In the third one he doesn't get to do as much, but this one he gets to have a whole lot of fun.
Albert.
Yeah, I don't have that much attachment to this franchise. I didn't grow up with it. I think Dead Man Tell No Tales might be my first one that I ever saw. So yeah, sorry, Koho. But
God,
yeah, and I haven't seen this in a while as well. Whenever I watch it, I always watch it together with The World's End. So some of the stuff are like blend together for me, especially since the villain is still the same. But I do like the on the island, the Isla Cruces, the one with the big wheel. I like that fight over there. I like Davy Jones. The visual effects is just the most incredible thing out of this film. Yeah, but aside from that, again, I don't have that much attachment to it. I appreciate it a lot. I couldn't decide if I like this or Curse of the Black Pearl more. But yeah, I appreciate it more than I like it, I would say. So
fair enough. Okay, Jack, let's get your second pick.
All right. I'm gonna go with a Disney live action adventure movie, and it's National Treasure. I love this movie. This is a movie I watched a lot as a kid, and it still holds up today. It's a great adventure movie. Nick Cage is he's the best. I love him in basically anything he's in, even if it's bad. I'll watch a movie if he's in it. But no, this movie's great. It's got an awesome adventure in it where they after stealing the Declaration of Independence, trying to find this massive loot of treasure. Knights Templar. Yeah, I can't remember that detail, but no, it's phenomenal. Sean Bean's a great villain in this. I love Sean Bean in this movie, in most movies actually, but he's phenomenal. And yeah, no, it's just it's so much fun. It's a hell of a time. Once again, a movie that I will probably never get tired of. It's great.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I saw this when it came out with my dad, and I remember us just having a ball. It's so much fun. It is one that like I got to rediscover through trivia because I watched it when it came out a lot, but then didn't see again for a really long time. And I watched it for trivia in 2019 and was like, holy shit, I forgot how much I loved this movie as a kid. And now I've watched it like once a year for the last few years, and I love it. I think it's great. I think Cage is great. Riley Poole is a fantastic character that I absolutely love. I think Diane Kruger is great. But yeah, Jack's right. Sean Bean is excellent in the movie, and Harvey Keitel also goes pretty hard, and that's always a good time. So big fan. Albert, what's your take on National Treasure?
The fact that they are able to make an adventure movie about cryptography and people exploring libraries is very cool. It says a lot, and that's basically the premise. They went around like buildings and they find stuff, and it clues out clues. It's a treasure hunt film, and it's so much fun. Nick Cage is great in this. What else can I say? I mean, it's just a lot of fun. It makes cryptography seem cool. And when you talk about cryptography to people wouldn't say it's cool. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You decrypt stuff. they visualize it and make it in such a fun way, and people are fascinated by it and want to learn more about it, and even about history. And yeah, I learned a lot about because I'm not from this country. I learned a lot about America from this film, part of it about the history. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. It makes me want to see the Liberty Bell and everything in Philadelphia. So it's a great introduction to all those.
Nice. Okay. Let's go to Koho.
Yeah, I respect and love most things that like base their entire premise out of U.S. history. I'm a huge U.S. history nerd. You can give me the look, Boat, because Hamilton. Yeah, I know. But I think National Treasure, both of them are just fantastic movies. I love, like Albert said, they're just big treasure hunts. It's taking the idea of the treasure hunts you would do with your friends around the neighborhood where you're looking for shit from your junk drawer that someone went and hid under a rock, and just blow that up on like a massive scale of like, we're looking through monuments and stuff like that. I think the first one's better, though I understand the people who are like Book of Secrets is a bigger mystery. It's a bigger movie. But I love just the dynamic of Nicolas Cage as Ben Gates and Justin Bartha as Riley Poole, and their first sort of adventure outing with Sean Bean, who I think is a great villain in this one. He's have it be like two rival treasure hunters on a race to find this gold and treasure. I think is great. I love this movie. Great choice. You could have picked this or Book of Secrets. That'd have been pretty okay with either one, but I love the first one, especially when he tries to steal the Declaration of Independence and ends up paying for a replica. I love that little bit.
Brian.
Yeah, this is one. I mean, when this came out, the Da Vinci Code, the book, had just come out like the year before, and this came out and it just felt like it's trying to be Da Vinci Code for dummies, right? I mean, this is before Da Vinci Code movie, so it's like they wanted to make this movie was kind of same kind of thing, like looking into like history and art and the things and finding these mysteries, and so it really looked like it was kind of cash in by Disney. but then it just turned out to be a ton of fun, and it really is. And this one, both this and the sequel, I really enjoy. I think a lot of that is due to Nicolas Cage and I just forgot his name. But the whole cast, I really enjoyed in this movie. There are complete stupid leaps in logic and things that they just magically figure out of nowhere, and there's no way they could have come to these conclusions. But it's one of those movies, if you just watch it and don't try to think too hard about the logic behind half of this stuff, you really will enjoy it a lot. Like I said, I like this and the second movie. I'm not a big fan of this in name only Disney Plus series they're going to make with just a bunch of kids instead of just making a third movie with Nicolas Cage, but whatever.
Just make the third movie, guys. Come on, it's not hard.
Right?
Boatman.
Page 47. We want to know what's on.
Yeah, this one's fun. No, this is a fun movie. Albert, to back you up, I'm an American, and I probably know more of U.S. history from the National Treasure movies than I do from actual history classes. But no, this one's fun. I have the super spicy hot take of I like Book of Secrets more. But yeah, I think this one is fun. This is a nice little adventure movie.
Okay. Let's move over to Brian for his second pick.
There's so many movies I wanted to talk about. The hard part for me is distinguishing when something was an adventure movie versus just like an action movie. You know what? I'm going to go with one it's probably one of the more obvious picks, but I have to because it is one of my favorite adventure movies of all time, and that's because it's one I grew up on, and that is The Goonies. The Goonies is that adventure that every kid wants to go on. I mean, when I was roughly that age when the movie came out, and it was like, this is me and my friends. And sure enough, for the next year, we were all out in the woods and stuff, pretending we're the Goonies, going on these stupid adventures. And it's just one of those kind of things where it's produced by Spielberg, directed by Richard Donner. It's got this great pedigree behind it. You have this cast of kid actors who you don't think anything of, but they went on to be. Sean Astin was in Lord of the Rings. You had Josh Brolin, who is in Avengers movies and Oscar winners and all these kind of things. And it's just it's a great bunch of kid actors, a great bunch of adults. Like you got Joey Pants and you got Anne Ramsey as Mama Fratelli, those unforgettable characters. It's intelligent. It treats kids like real people. They weren't just, they were kind of caricatures, but at the same time, they were smart. They had motivations. They were going on this venture because they were trying to save their homes. But you got to have just tons of fun. You had to get those Rube Goldberg-esque, traps and things, all Data's devices. It's just one of those movies that just kind of captured your hearts. And I don't know anyone who, not everybody loves it as much as me, but I don't know anybody who doesn't just at least enjoy The Goonies, because it's just fun for everybody.
Yeah, I've only seen this once. I saw it probably 4 or 5 years ago. I liked it. I think it's definitely a case of if you grew up with it, you'll like it a lot more. But again, I enjoyed it for what it was. I thought it was a good time. It's the type of movie I like, so I had a good time. But I don't honestly remember much of it, so I'm due for a rewatch on it. It just came out on 4K, so maybe I'll pick it up and rewatch it. So, Koho.
I've never seen it, but I just think it's really weird that there's a movie that Richard Donner directed, Spielberg produced, and Chris Columbus wrote. That's just a weird group of people to work on one movie.
Yeah.
Boatman.
The Goonies. Okay, to kind of explain it, I'm going to get a little bit inside baseball with the community here. I am to The Goonies what Cameron Holtzman is to Groundhog Day, where Holtzman pretty much likes every movie that rips off Groundhog Day, but he thinks Groundhog Day is just fine. I like so many Goonies ripoffs, like Holes. I love Holes so much. Like a lot of Goonies ripoffs really work for me, but for whatever reason, I think Goonies is just okay. The only real characters I really... Mouth is honestly the only Goonie I really care about all that much. The other ones I just think are kind of bland. It's fine. It's not a bad movie. It's just not anything I
love. Jack.
Yeah, no, this is a really big blind spot for me. I have actually never seen this movie. Makes me kind of sad to say that, but I plan on watching it soon. I just have to find the time.
All right. Albert?
Yeah, I've seen this once, maybe like 5 years ago, and I liked it. I didn't love it. The cast of characters are fun, but yeah, I don't remember. If I'm being honest, I don't remember much of it aside from there's a pirate ship, and there's something to do with a candy bar that I remember for some reason. But yeah, it's a great sense of adventure.
All right. Okay, so let's get Albert's second movie for the final pick.
Yeah, okay. I've been debating what I want to pick here. I've been flip-flopping through a bit, but this film popped up and I was like, hey, this is similar to like Road to El Dorado, but instead of a mythical city, this is like the spirit realm. So I'm going to pick Spirited Away. It's basically she is transported to the spirit world and she's just trapped there and she's going on an adventure to try to save and find her parents again. And just the whole bathhouse, it's like it's sort of one place even though she go to other places, but the whole bathhouse is just there is so much in it. It's pretty much its own world, and she's just exploring all different places if you're talking about adventure. But as a film itself, it's just a beautifully animated film. The music is incredible. All the cast of characters and the fantastical creatures are just so unique and just different, and it's a great coming of age story, and it's just almost a perfect film, really. So yeah, that is my pick, Spirited Away, for the last one.
Okay. I have seen this a couple times. Like I said earlier, I'm not the biggest anime person. Studio Ghibli just doesn't really do it for me. There are some movies that I liked. This is one that I liked more than other ones. But again, it's just not my type of movie. And that's a me thing. It's nothing against the movie because clearly most people that see it really, really love it. So a good pick. I get the pick. I think it's a worthy inclusion, but not for me. Koho, have you seen this?
I have never seen Spirited Away. It's a massive blind spot of mine that I will have to remedy at some point.
All right. Boatman.
I love Spirited Away. It's one of my favorite films of all time. It's excellent. I'll be honest. I don't personally really think of it as an adventure movie, but it's a great movie, so I'm not going to complain. It's basically like Alice in Wonderland, right? Like it's basically just kind of a darker take on that, and it's fantastic. The world is really fascinating. Yeah, it's an excellent film.
Brian.
Cody can finally have his answer. No, I did not watch all the Studio Ghibli movies. I've only ever seen like 2 of them in full.
I knew it!
I've seen bits and pieces of this one, but Ghibli's not for me.
All right. Jack.
I've seen this movie once, like a year and a half ago, and I remember, like, this is before I was really like ever into anime, and I'm still not really a big anime guy, but like this movie's phenomenal. I was blown away by this. I'm still not 100% sure what the hell happened in that movie, but I plan on watching it again, like fairly soon. So yeah, no, beautiful animation. I think that that train scene with no face creature and I'm forgetting the protagonist's name right now, but that's okay. Yeah, her. I think that moment is just beautiful. I love that scene, and yeah, no, it's a great movie. So yeah, no complaints about it.
Okay. Then that is our list. Head over to the Letterboxd page to take a look at our list of adventure movies from the night. We're going to wrap up the show right now by talking about our movie of the month, The Maltese Falcon. So we got 3 people here tonight. I saw that Koho was able to watch it. Jack and Albert, were you guys able to check it out?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start with Koho. Koho, your take on The Maltese Falcon, along with a rating, please.
I was bored, man. I was like, I had heard so much about like, oh, this is a film noir, that like a detective's kind of story that you'd be interested in from so many people. and I finally watched it today, and I was like, you know what? I'm in the mood. Let's sit down. Let's just watch it. And I just couldn't get into it. I think Humphrey Bogart is such a boring actor. He looks like that dog from Looney Tunes that just has the really droopy eye. You know what I'm talking about? Or maybe it's not even Looney Tunes, but that like cartoon dog.
His name is Droopy.
Yeah, yeah. He looks exactly like Droopy. And he's so monotone and like it's either down here or he's pissed the fuck off and like hitting people. There's no in between. There's no nothing. I don't like him. I actually don't like anyone in this movie, to be totally honest. I think Philip Laurie's the only performance I like, the only character that I found interesting. Just because he's like not his own person until he like kind of stands up at the end and instantly backs down again. I think he's the only person I was interested in seeing. Like, I think the whole thing is just fine. Like, it's totally okay. I don't really get the love for this one. There's only one scene in the whole movie where I was like, this is a good scene. Like, this is actually kind of good. Where they're trying to pin the blame on someone. That whole thing where he's like, you don't forget, I've got the Falcon. You may have the Falcon, but we certainly have you. I think that's the only back and forth was like, this is good. And then I wish the whole movie was that scene. Like, I wish that was what the movie was. Because it's just not. I was not entertained. I don't like Bogart. And honestly, I'm not as interested in seeing a lot of other Bogart movies. I'm not as interested in seeing what he does in Casablanca now because I still never seen Casablanca. But oh well.
All right, what would you give it, Koho?
3 stars, and that's probably being a little generous.
Okay, Jack, let's go to you next.
This is a movie I had heard a whole lot about. I had been dying to see it since high school. My film studies teacher recommended it as like an essential film noir to watch, and I finally got to see it. And I was underwhelmed. I did not love it. I did love Bogart. I thought he was like the one part of it. I'm like, okay, yes, you're doing something I'm actually liking here. And it wasn't really until the last like 20 minutes where I was like, okay, yeah, this is some good stuff happening here. But then, But there's something in the movie that happens towards the end that kind of just makes the entire movie feel pointless, and I kind of hated it. That little reveal for it, I did not like that at all. And Bogart's great. Rest of the movie is fine. It's a little. My initial reaction, it's a little overrated. Maybe it'll go up on rewatch, but I was hoping it would be. Hoping it would be better.
All right, what would you give it, Jack?
I'll go with 3 stars as well.
Okay. Albert, what about you?
Yeah, I liked that okay. I thought Humphrey Bogart was good. I like the film. I like the film noir. I'm not a big classics person, but for the most case, I guess the classics that I've seen, most of them I sort of like it. I haven't seen a bad classic. But yeah, I like the film. I like this the film noir style of it. I'll be honest, a little bit of the plot in the middle sort of lost me. I had to rewind the film several times. I was like, oh wait, what just happened? But yeah, I like Bogart. I like Peter Lorre in here, and I do get the sentiment with the Maltese Falcon being a fake and everything. I was like, huh, interesting. But outside of that, I don't think there was that much that was like mind-blowing from this film. Nothing really like nothing like new. Well, I guess at the time it was new, but like now it's like nothing like that I haven't seen before. So it's like, yeah, okay, it's good. I liked it okay. So,
what would you give it, Albert?
I gave it 3.5.
Okay. All right, well, that's going to do it. Next week, we're going to be doing best movie soundtracks. We do have a full panel for that already. So that's already said and done. Be on the lookout this week, though, for 2 things from Logged It. We have the schedule for March coming out, so you can know what shows we're going to be doing in March. So you can, if you want to sign up, you can do that by messaging either myself or Boatman or commenting on that post when I make it. I would expect that probably tomorrow. And then also sometime over the weekend, we'll be posting the list for movies, movie of the month, for March. That is going to be the 2020s decade. So something new. We're wrapping back around. So next week will be the last week of Maltese Falcon. And then we'll be talking something from the 2020s. So there'll be lots of opportunities there for something new. So that'll be fun. I want to thank everybody. This was a fun show. Nice big panel. Talked about a lot of movies. So that was fun. So thank you to Koho, Jack, Albert, Brian, Boatman, as always. It's been a pleasure, guys. We'll see you next week with soundtracks. Until then, have a good one.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening,